Vanto smiled and began to tie up the boars so he could carry them on his shoulders. "All righty then. See you when you get back. Don't stay out too late. The sun isn't going to be up for much longer." It was getting late in the evening. Vanto was the older and stronger sibling and felt responsible for her. Though they're adults now and she is more than capable of taking care of herself, he still had that feeling as all older brothers have. Even with that, he hefted the boars on his shoulders, and her and him split directions. Vanto began the long march back to the village on the jungle floor. Left foot, right foot, stick, leaf, trail, left, right, broken stick, tracks, breath. Vanto thinking to himself as the walk back to the village hit that point where it felt more like a workout rather than a simple walk. The added weight of the boars, both bound to a large stick now, resting on his shoulders, bouncing with every step, having to climb over or through bushes, added difficulty, but nothing he hadn't done before. The vest prevented the wood from digging into his shoulders. "Left foot, right foot. Watch out for those droppings," he said to himself, avoiding animal droppings. "That was nasty. Hey, look a paw." "Wait, what?" He stopped and turned around to look at the paw of what looked like a rat. "That's nasty. Don't see many severed animal parts lying around." "Ugh!" Vanto flinched at the sight of rat heads and body parts in a trail that led in a different direction from where he was going. "Well, I'm not going that way." Vanto continued to head in the direction towards the village when more rat parts and other animal parts started appearing, like they had been ripped apart and eaten. Voices started to break Vanto's curious walking. He had begun to walk faster at the sight of the animals, though he wasn't quite near the village enough to hear voices yet. The voices turned out to not be voices, but the echo from yelling. Coming from the direction of the village, Vanto began running with the boars on his back towards the village. Animal parts were littered around the ground, blood mixing with the mud, as he was on a well-traveled trail. Other animals were around, eating away at the body parts. Vantos didn't want to sit there and look. He needed to figure out where that yelling was coming from, and why. Minutes passed of Vanto running, adrenaline pumping through his body, pushing him towards the village. One voice had broken into many yelling. As the sun began to hide behind the trees, the village's lights were peering through the trees towards Vanto. This would be normal, except it was much brighter and there was yelling coming from there. He kept running. Several other hunters passed him on the trail, running towards the village. "Run, man! Drop the load and run!" they said as they ran past him. Vanto wasn't sure about that, because the boars is food and coin for his family. Vanto immediately dropped the boars and took off running towards the village, towards the yelling and screaming. As Vanto approached the village, part of it was engulfed in fire. There were people running out of the fire and tackling other people who were there to help. Vanto quickly beelined for his home, passing people yelling and fighting one another. Vanto saw swords, separate limbs. "I know that guy. Why is that happening to him?" The guy stood up and with an unknown growl lunged towards the man who severed the limb. In seconds they were both on the ground. Blood pooling, Vanto couldn't watch. He had his wife and kids to worry about. He passed a woman crawling on her hands, with her lower half of her body missing, and a trail leading into a home that was dark and had yelling coming from inside. The woman looked to reach for Vanto as he ran by. "I cannot help you, miss," he said, as he turned down the path towards his and his sister's house. They lived next door to each other, but on the city side of the village.